When I started writing my very first book, Tales from the Tea House, I did it so in Morocco. And we were staying in a house in Moulay Bouzaktoun, which is just slightly north of Essaouira. And there was a room at the top of the house with a window that looked straight out onto the sea, onto the Atlantic. It was very beautiful. And I put my table up there, and that was where I started writing my book. And ever since then, I've always found tables next to windows with views to look out of. The sea is just over there, out of the other window, but if I was to go over there, I would scare all the birds away. And the beach is full of birds. There are red-breasted merganser, goosander, there are black-headed gulls, lots of swans, and some beautiful white wagtails down there. So I don't want to disturb them. But this is a nicer place to sit anyway, because here is the forest behind me. And somewhere in that forest is the golden oriole, and that's one reason I'm sitting here waiting to catch him on the camera. But it's a difficult task. So this is the Finnhütte on the island. It's a bit away from the rest of the island. It's fenced in here. And it was used in the 1990s and early 2000s by the Albert Schweitzer Institute. And they used to send here problem children, problem teenagers, to come here, and they were looked after by one-on-one with someone who looked after them, and a care person. I don't know what they're called because I've never been in such a situation. And there are a lot of quite dodgy stories connected to this Finnhütte. Anyway, I've chosen it now as a place to come and tell a story. And this story's got nothing to do about problematic children, or even young people, or birds on the beach. No. It's a story about two giants and two rather smaller creatures, namely birds, and how one of them got its colour. And I shall begin. Long ago, in a land far away, giants used to wander and roam the land. And there were two of these giants that were different to all the others. They were bigger, more special. And each one of these giants considered himself to be the ruler of all the giants, the king of the giants. And these two giants were so different to each other, and they didn't get on. One of them was a giant who liked the days to be short and the nights to be long, and he liked it when it was dark, and he liked it when it was cold, and he liked it when he was on his own in the world and everybody else was asleep. The other giant was quite the opposite. He liked it when the days were long and the nights were short, when it was bright and sunny. He liked it when there were lots of people around and animals out and about, and life was to be seen full and wondrous all around him. So these two, like yin and yang, couldn't live without each other, but unlike yin and yang, they didn't get on. Therefore, they kept out of each other's way. When one arrived, the other would leave. When one was coming and the other one saw he was coming, he went. But for 2 days in the year, 6 months apart, it was impossible for them to avoid each other. And often on these days, there was trouble. And this story is about one such day, when the giant who liked the nights to be long and the days to be short, he arrived just a little bit sooner than the other giant who liked days to be long and nights to be short was reckoning. The giant who liked the nights to be long and the days to be short saw the other and thought to himself, aha, there he is. This is my chance to conquer him, to take my position as the ruler of the world, nay, the ruler of the universe. So he stormed in, quite literally, and attacked the giant who preferred days to be long and nights to be short. Now, the giant who preferred days to be long and nights to be short wasn't one to give up easily, so he turned and he fought back, and there was a huge wrestling match. What a spectacle! What a show! Everything shook as these two giants went at one another with everything they had. All the animals of the forest, they came from around, sat in trees or on the ground and watched the great spectacle, amongst them the birds. And amongst them there were two birds that, well, They didn't get on really either, but that was soon to change. Sitting on a branch watching this great wrestling match between these two giants, the one who liked the nights to be long and the days to be short. That's the oriole. And the one who liked the days to be long and the nights to be short, well, they watched. And they watched as these two fought with each other. And soon it was that one of them began to gain upper hand. The giant who liked the nights to be long was getting stronger. The giant who liked the days to be long was getting weaker, for it was getting late. And soon it was that the giant who liked the nights to be long dealt an almost fatal blow to the giant who liked the days to be long, and he fell to the ground unconscious. And the giant who liked the nights to be long was wonderfully valiant. And he took his place in the world. It was dark, it was cold. The animals didn't like this. So many of them scuttled off, or buzzed off, to go underground or into caves, find somewhere to sleep. But the wren and the robin, who were sitting on the branch, were watching all of this, and they'd seen the giant who liked the days to be long fall. And they had an affinity with the giant who liked the days to be long, because they liked the days to be long as well. The wren hopped down from the branch next to the giant and looked at him, and then he jumped up onto his chest, and he could feel underneath his tiny little fragile feet the heartbeat of the giant. He called up to the robin, "He's still alive. He's breathing. His heart is beating. Come down, listen." And the robin jumped, hopped down, landed on the breast of the giant, put his ear to the breast, and he heard it. "Indeed he is," he said. "He's alive." "But the night is going to be long and cold," said the wren. "And in the night that is long and cold, things that are not kept warm may perish and die." "Then we must keep him warm," said the robin. "But how?" said the wren. And the robin turned and said, "My friend, you must lie there, stretch out your wings, and give your warmth from your own heart into the giant. I will fly into the village, and I will bring back fire." So the wren lay down, stretched out his wings, and rested his heart on top of the heart of the giant. And there he stayed. With all his will, he pushed his energy and fire into the chest of the giant. The robin flew off. Now the robin knew where to go. The robin knew the village quite well, and he knew all of the people in the village, for at most houses he always found something to eat, and often he would look through the windows just to see who was there. And there was one particular house in which lived, as he knew, an elderly lady who of an evening would put a nice fire going in the chimney, and she would sit by the fireplace and read her book, but often she fell asleep. And whenever she did that, the robin would tap, tap, tap on the window, and she would wake up. She would see that she'd fallen asleep, and she would go to bed. And as thanks, in gratitude to the robin, she would put a little bread on the windowsill for him. So therefore the robin knew that late at night there was often fire to be found. And to this house he flew. Sure enough, the old lady was asleep, but this time he didn't wake her. This time he hopped up onto the roof, and then he hopped up onto the chimney pot, and he looked down. It was a long way and it was dark, but at the bottom he could see glowing embers. And so he flew down through the heat and smoke and landed in the hearth. There was the old lady in her chair, her book open at the page where she'd fallen asleep, and her knitting on the ground beside her. He turned to the fire and he selected one particular stick, one twig, which was still burning at one end, and he picked it up. It was not too big, it was not too small, and he flew up the chimney, and back to the forest he flew. He realised that he had to be quick, so he flew quite quickly, fast indeed. But the faster he flew, the more the embers at the end of the stick glowed. and sparks began to blow off of it, and they fell onto his breast, and so he found himself flying through the sparks. He came back to the forest. He hopped down onto the ground next to the giant. He put the stick down and he called up to the wren, "Hey, I've got fire. Come down and help me." And so the wren hopped down, and between them, the wren and the robin picked up sticks, tinder, kindling, small twigs, and they put them on top of the glowing embers of the stick that the robin had brought from the fireplace. And then the robin fluttered his wings and blew air into the fire. And for the next hour or so, the wren went and found wood, the robin went and found wood, and then each one would come back and they would feed the wood onto the fire and feed breath into the fire. Soon the fire got so big that the giant could feel it on his flanks. And in his sleep, automatically, or as unconscious as he was, he turned on his side toward the fire. And with that, his breast was exposed to the warmth coming from the fire. And that was what kept him alive throughout the night. When the daytime came, when light started to creep over the horizon and into the forest past the trees, the giant felt warm enough to open his eyes and to stand up. He saw where the fight had been and he remembered. He saw the fire, but couldn't quite work out how that had become fire, how that had got there. And then he looked up and he saw on a twig two friends who were not friends before, the wren and the robin. The robin nodded at him. The wren nodded at him. And the giant saw that the robin's breast was all flecked and sparkled and spotted with sparks, the red, the orange of the sparks of the fire that had landed on his breast. And with that, the giant, who loved days to be long and nights to be short, knew that it was the robin that had saved him. The robin with the bright, fiery orange breast, and his friend the wren. And from that day on, the wren continued to collect sticks and pile them up in little places all around the forest, for who knows when such a happening might happen again. And the robin? Well, he would fly around often and go to houses and just look in through the windows, just to check, to see where there was fire still burning, just in case. And the giant, he had back what he had lost. And there are still 6 months of the year when the day is longer than the night. And the giant, who prefers the night to be longer and the days to be short, he didn't win out. Neither of them won. For like yin and yang, the balance must be. And so it was that the wren and the robin saved the day. Now I shall turn my chair around, I shall write and wait for the oriole to come again. Thanks for watching.